genre.
Welcome back to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Cass Fredrickson.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And today on the show we'll be discussing Colditz, the 7th Doctor's 14th story.
Mm-hmm. Or at least what we're calling that.
Yes. For our intents and purposes.
Yeah. So Colditz, written by Steve Lyons, directed by Gary Russell, which was the style at the time. October. I truly think he was directing every episode at this time.
Wow.
So this came out in October of 2001. It was the 25th release from Big Finish's Doctor Who range. And funnily enough, came out 1 month prior to the episode we talked about last week, Project Twilight. So we're kind of weirdly going out of order in release order by like a month, but that was that was the 6th Doctor, but it was released after this one.
Wow.
They don't have anything to do
Okay.
with each other, but it's just like the fact that they were like right next to each other in release order is weird. So Colditz, this is, I think, most notable for two things. One, it's the introduction of Tracy Childs as Elizabeth Klein, who would be an ongoing character across the Big Finish range. This sort of like recurring. I hesitate to use the word like the Catwoman thing, but that's kind of what her deal is, where it's like she's good and sometimes she's not. She's kind of out for herself, and it's always like is she going to be bad this time? Every time she shows up. So that's what I mean by Catwoman, not necessarily by the Doctor wanting to bed her in any fashion.
I would like to bed her.
To the best of my recollection, that never happens. But she does become, she's a very popular Big Finish character, Elizabeth Klein. Which I'm sure listening to this story, you're both like, really? Her? But yeah, I don't know. So she'll be back. But most notable, this is the Doctor Who debut of a very famous Doctor Who actor, David Tennant.
Mm-hmm.
David Tennant in this plays Officer Kurtz. What's his name? Kurtz? Yeah. Kurtz. Officer Kurtz, a Nazi. And he's just really out acting the pants off of everyone in this, and you're just like, there's something really special about this guy. I think even though he's playing a horrible Nazi, he's really giving it. And it's just so funny, like how much he stands out amongst, like, we've been listening to lots of Big Finishes, and we hear lots of like standalone characters that show up in these adventures, as you do with Doctor Who, and they all kind of have their own kind of spice. It's like their own flavor, and it's their own kind of like level of like where they're acting at. And then David Tennant comes in and is just like out acting everybody. It's kind of nuts how much he stands out in this, I think, even as a horrible character. So that's worth noting. This happened, of course, like 2001. So this was like 4 years before his debut as the 10th Doctor. So, yeah, he did this. He was a Nazi first on Doctor Who.
This was even before Casanova.
That's true. Yeah, even before
Wow.
Casanova. Yeah, he was just a stage actor trying to make it big. I think he had done that. There was I remember seeing clips of this. There was like a thing in the 90s he did, and he had big old floppy long like hair drapes. And it was like some kind of like, don't do drugs, kids, after school special, but like the British equivalent or not the British equivalent, the Scottish equivalent, because it was Scottish television. And I've seen clips of that pop up. So he was doing stuff like that. That's where he was as an actor.
Funny.
Just a working actor.
But yeah, I think he's really good. And I don't think you'd ever believe how young he was at this point, because he's like 22 or something like that, like 20, 21, 22. Pretty young. But yeah, Colditz is a very popular Big Finish Doctor Who story. Just for, I think in terms of like Seventh Doctor, just like talking at someone and just like tat-a-tatting back and forth dialogue, and that's like what people love about the Seventh Doctor, and this is loaded with that, and it's loaded with Ace being like, fuck you, authority, and people love that shit. So it's just like, it's full of shit that people love, and just like the idea of the Nazis getting a hold of the TARDIS is such like a like juicy, scary thing to happen that I think there's just like a lot here that people are like really into. But I would love to know what you guys thought of it, because you didn't much care for last week's. You guys were kind of like so to like yikes on that one. So what did you guys think of Colditz? I'll start with you, Cass.
Well, I didn't outright dislike it, but I can't say that I like this. It was boring. I thought it was boring. I was having trouble staying engaged with it, and there are moments where I like was engaged, and that was like the part in episode 2 where Sylvester McCoy is like walking through his process and like trying to outsmart Klein. But and I did, every time David Tennant was doing his like evil like Nazi shit, I was like, oh, this is creepy, like he's really good. But for the most part, I found the story and also like the idea of like who Klein is to not really interest me very much. Yeah, I don't know. So I it was fine. I don't know. I feel like I don't have a lot to talk about because it was like, it's very, very like middle of the road, but not in like a fun way, just like a kind of a boring way to me.
It's certainly not very plotty, so this probably won't be a long episode of the show, just because there's not even half of what was going on with last week's episode.
No.
Project Twilight. Nick, what did you think of Colditz?
I was pretty entertained by it. Surprisingly, more than I thought I was going to be when I was like, when I figured out like, oh no, we're stuck in a Nazi prison camp. I just don't really like, I sort of felt my stomach drop a little bit, because I was like, oh man, I don't like stories where they're captured or imprisoned the whole time, because I just find I can find those stories very boring, because it's very like, you're not gonna, no momentum. You're gonna be stuck in this one place the whole time with these, bad character, these bad guys, blah, 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 blah. But I thought it was a really fun kind of throwback to like prison escape stories, prison breakout stories. I liked seeing Ace and kind of like her Steve McQueen in The Great Escape kind of vibe, like getting tossed in the cooler for mouthing off to Nazis, and like, we're breaking out of here. The David Tennant thing was really funny because the whole episode I was listening to it, I'm like, that sounds like David Tennant. And I was like, Nick, don't be British racist. Like, not all British people are David Tennant, And then I was just kind of going through the TARDIS wiki to kind of remember the plot of it all. And I was like, oh shit, that was David Tennant. That's fun.
Yeah, like the first, I'm sorry.
Please.
The first scene with him and Ace, I was like, is that David Tennant? And I like had to look it up because it was driving me crazy. And I felt so vindicated and so surprised that it actually was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's doing a German accent. It's not like it's not like he still sounds like David Tennant through the German accent, but it's a German accent the whole time. So yeah,
he's not immediately.
So let's not. You can't call yourself British racist when he's doing a German accent. That's not fair to you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Scott. But yeah, so I found Ace's story really fun. We'll talk about the ending and if that. I'm fascinated to learn if that's like a thing that settles. Ace comes to, or Dorothy, I should say, perhaps, comes to a very declarative place at the end. So I'm interested to talk about that. And, Klein, I did find pretty middle of the road. I mean, she became more interesting when she wasn't just like a Nazi scientist, but I mean, compared to like, I guess someone like River Song or Rogue, or I don't know, someone else that's kind of like, yo, you don't know, or even compared to Miss Stern Vampire Lady from last week, Miss Urban Horror Vampire Lady, who I guess is also a reoccurring character. I guess I could see Klein becoming more interesting in other stories. The idea of her being like a loose end that's out there. And yeah, I thought McCoy was pretty solid in this, and his like, crafty game maker 7th Doctor mode. And then the twist at the end I found very clever. Of you think it's the what if the Nazis got a hold of the TARDIS, but it's actually what if the Nazis got a hold of a Walkman. And
right,
lasers, Ace, lasers, you dolt. If the Nazis had lasers, we'd be sunk. And so yeah, I was pretty entertained by this one, all things considered.
Great. So to answer your question about the Dorothy thing, no, it absolutely does not stick.
Great.
The very next episode, she's like, you know what? On second thought, that was stupid. I like Ace. Ace is who I am. So
good for her. Hey, you know
what?
No
worries there.
Identity isn't lateral,
Yeah.
Do you
and also
like this
sometimes
one?
you got to try things on to figure out if they fit,
Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy this one, Scott?
I do enjoy this one. I think that this is a good example of an episode of Doctor Who that is dark, features like dark material without ever betraying like what Doctor Who is supposed to be. It doesn't quite cross that line for me, despite the fact that someone gets dematerialized in half. But at least you have a character being like, that is one of the most horrifying things I have ever seen in my entire life.
So much that it momentarily makes Ace shun her cute nickname.
Right. She's like, I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm a woman after that. So but I think that like this episode feels like about as dark as I ever want Doctor Who to get. Like tonally. I think any darker than this and it starts to feel like a betrayal of the show. In a weird way where it's like, I don't know if this guy got it, whoever was working on it.
That's interesting because I think that like comparison like to the one that we listened to last week, I think the one we listened to last week is darker than this, but like I don't know. I also didn't like that one, so
I think you were. But again, like, we talked about this last week. Like you were picturing a very different episode than what I was picturing.
Yeah.
I was picturing a much more silly episode.
Yeah,
I think where that was not taking its villains very seriously, and you guys were picturing a very different episode. So I think that was just like we had like two different episodes in our heads. Yeah. Internal interpretation. Yeah.
I think that I would have liked, aside from the fact that a guy gets like dematerialized in half, I think that I would have liked this, like to have watched this instead of listened to it. Like, I don't know that it was like I don't know if it like made good use of the medium in a way that I found engaging, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I find that one of the things that I think Big Finish struggles with the most, and I think that it gets better later on, but in these early episodes especially, these first 50 through Zagreus, is that you're right. I don't think that they use the medium as well as you would want. And I find that they don't bother simplifying any sort of like plot details, and instead it just becomes this exposition that is all just kind of like floating because there's nothing to hang on to. And so like this whole idea of like the CD player and the alternate timeline, and Klein was in another TARDIS with another doctor, and like all of that stuff is just so like, what? And it's just like the doctor explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just having to be like, okay. Like, I think I'm following, because like they don't just figure out a way to like show it to you in
audio.
the way that like you can in audio. You can show people things in audio.
You could show Klein like looking over her shoulder and sneaking into a TARDIS or something like that.
Right. But like you can't. It's just so. Instead of doing that, instead of like showing these things happening in an audio way, in an audible way, they just have people explain things that already happened.
Yeah.
And you just get these exposition info dumps like you do in this one, where you're really, it's hard to hang on. Because they also don't like piecemeal it out. They're like, and here's everything that's going on.
Yeah. I know that we were making fun of like the standard like Big Finish opening where it's like, oh, this character, like something bad happens to them, and then we like go to the Doctor and Ace. But I think that it would have been cool to open on Klein like dematerializing in whatever TARDIS from whatever timeline she comes from, and then like landing there, and then we like when she shows up again, it's like, oh shit, it's the lady from the beginning, you know?
Right. Yeah.
She
That
has
would have
a
helped.
TARDIS.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Or she's going to be the Doctor's companion at some point. Like, who is this person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I totally get that. And this one has a lot of exposition. It'll be interesting to see next week when we talk about Blood of the Daleks, because to me, I think that era, which is trying to ape modern Who at the time, is, I think that it is much more successful in the audio format than these like pre-Blood of the Daleks episodes, which are, you know, they can be a little complex and a little too, I don't know. Just they're like not setting up the bumpers that you need to like with only having audio as the format. Instead, they don't give themselves any handicaps. Instead, they just over explain everything and hope that you get it. And I don't know that that's necessarily enough when you don't have a visual medium to like, anchor you, I guess. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're just completely untethered, you know?
Like you're holding on to a TARDIS as it's dematerializing.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah. They put in safety features later in the TARDIS so that couldn't happen anymore. Or maybe they were always there, but because he shot the console, maybe they went out. He killed himself. Let's be perfectly.
That's so funny. Yeah. I love the idea that the TARDIS is like, no, fuck this guy. He shot me.
He shot me.
He's a Nazi and he shot me.
Shot me. That's 2 strikes. So like when, fast forward to Empire of Death, when the Doctor is like dragging Sutek across like a concrete on a chain, is that kind of like the same sort of principle of like, is that kind of like being like sucked into the time stream that the TARDIS, but because Sutek was a god, he didn't immediately dissolve?
No, I think that's part of the safety feature is that it like builds a bubble around them because like that's the same thing that happens to Captain Jack. Remember, he's like Doctor, and then just jumps onto the TARDIS and holds on for dear life, and he's fine. So
and I think he dies, right? But then he shoots back up. Is that kind of what happens, or is he like fine? I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember actually.
Oh no, he's dead. Oh, that was crazy.
I can't die. Actually, it turns out.
I don't remember.
That's I can't die, and I'm gayer than ever.
Every time I die, I come back gayer.
I come back gayer. Kind of like Doomsday and Superman. You ever read Superman comics? Yeah, you kill him and he comes back and it evolves, and you can't kill him the same way. I'm like that, but gay.
Gay in a different way.
Doomsday.
Doomsday.
Wow.
Oh, I want that to be the episode title. Wish we still.
We don't title these episodes.
I know. Yeah.
You're welcome. Boom.
That's good though. Okay, so this just to like quickly move through the plot of this one, just because like again, there's not a lot. The Doctor and Ace arrive at Colditz Castle, which is a Nazi prison camp. Specifically like a prisoner of war camp, not a anything else that they had going on. They had
Concentration camp.
Yeah, concentration camps. Because at first I raised an eyebrow at the use of prisoner camp, and then I was like, is it? And then I was like, oh, okay, no, this is a completely separate thing.
Like historically, Colditz.
Yeah,
Colditz Manor.
So they're at Colditz Castle. The Doctor realizes they're at Colditz Castle and is like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And then that's when Kurtz shows up and arrests them as British spies. They get arrested, and then Kurtz finds out about Ace's amazing technology. And takes her CD player, which has lasers in it. Pretty cool. Sends Ace to delousing, which she's very upset about, rightfully so.
She loves her louses.
Yeah, and they get separated. And they go to separate places, and they're kind of separated the whole episode. And the whole thing with the Seventh Doctor is that he meets up with a woman named Klein, who is a woman who seems to know who the Doctor is and what the TARDIS is, and basically threatens to shoot Ace if he doesn't surrender the key to the TARDIS, because she wants to use it to win the Nazis World War II. So that's what's going on. They're discussing that. He's trying to figure out why she knows what the TARDIS is. Comes to find out that she's kind of like from an alternate timeline, and like the Doctor's future, sort of, and then got dropped off there. The Doctor bailed on her, basically. She took the TARDIS there, and then it came back to wherever he was and left her there, and so now she's been trapped working for the Nazis this whole time. And is like, oh, good, the TARDIS is back. Now I can leave or something. And then Ace meets some other prisoners, and they're like, yeah, like this Kurtz guy sucks. Just kind of goes through the whole story, just like every time Kurt shows up, and she's like, haha, you fucking Nazi nerd. And he's like, I am an officer. And she's like, haha, fuck you. Like, that's their entire storyline is going back and forth like that. She gets threatened to be shot like twice, I think, as a episode out. But yeah, it's just sort of like back and forth of like Ace is dealing with like what's going on currently with the Nazis and trying to break these people out of this prisoner of war camp. And the Doctor is talking to Klein and trying to outmaneuver her mentally, I guess. And then the episode the story comes to a close when the TARDIS is like they're about to get killed by Kurtz, and then somebody stops him, and then they run to the TARDIS, and then Kurtz comes in, like opens the TARDIS door, shoots the console, it dematerializes and cuts him in half. And they're like the people who are left behind in 1944 are like, Jesus Christ. We should tell them that he did a good job. And they're like, yeah, we should tell everybody he did a good job. Okay, great. And then you cut back inside and they're like, Jesus Christ. And she's like, I'm not going to be Ace anymore. I'm Dorothy now. And he's like, okay. And then that's that. And so, yeah, like that's kind of all that really happens in this. It's just a lot of like, we're in a Nazi prisoner of war camp. It's got like a vibe, like a vaguely Wolfenstein vibe.
It's kind of like Wolfenstein, Professor.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to use the laser technology in Ace's CD player, which she got in a previous episode from the future. Because, of course, she doesn't have portable CD players from where she's from.
Oh, yeah, that guy gave it to her.
Yeah. And so the Nazis are going to use laser technology to beat Oppenheimer to the atomic bomb, and create an alternate universe where the Nazis win World War II.
It's very Star-Lord coded now that I think about it.
That's true.
Like, no.
My Walkman.
That is true. So let's see. Okay, I'm just going to read this because just to like really make sure that we get all of the details. So, the doctor, so Klein talks about the TARDIS's flight logs, but there are no flight logs in the TARDIS, and so he theorizes that he left Ace's body and the CD player here when he escaped. After departing in the TARDIS, he likely checked the console, realized his mistake. He wouldn't cross back on his own time stream. He had to come up with another way to correct the leaving the CD player behind. So he returned to Germany in 1955, allowed them to kill him, capture the TARDIS, but then regenerated into his next incarnation, became the Schmidt who would work with Klein, manipulating her into traveling back to 1944, and he would have then set the TARDIS to dematerialize after Klein arrived, preventing her from completing her plans. I don't know, man.
Is that present in the text? Because I remember I remember him saying like, Schmidt, huh? Like it's supposed to, whatever. To the point where like I thought, I forgot that the commandant or whatever was a character already. So I was like, oh, is it like this guy? I don't know. And so that's really confusing. But that's like the intention?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. That's the intention. Yeah, exactly. This is the problem. It's like you can't have all of that in just like a monologue of exposition. Like it just doesn't work. It's not narratively satisfying, you know? But I don't know. I do like the vibes of this episode, and it is fun hearing David Tennant be a Nazi.
Because like, okay.
A Nazi and a Death Eater.
That's true. He would be a Death Eater after Casanova, but before the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the Tennant timeline. Sorry, guys.
So I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about a version of the story that like where that makes sense and is cool. And like if you open with a character that sounds like Sylvester McCoy talking to this woman, and then she goes into the TARDIS and then is like there, and then she like runs into the Doctor, like you can play with that, and that's cooler to me. You know? Huh.
I feel like this episode could have been shorter.
Yes.
Like you could have skipped a lot of exposition if episode 1 had been a completely out of context, the Doctor arriving in 1955, letting himself get captured, meeting Klein, and doing the whole thing, and then episode 2 starts with him and Ace showing up at the camp, and then being like, "What is going on?" And
That's
you're like, "Wait, what is
interesting.
going on? Why was he?"
Yeah.
What? And then
Yeah.
him realizing like, oh, if my future self must have done this, this, and this because he realized that he messed up here because I messed up. Then it would be like, oh yeah, I just saw that. But like just explaining it
Right.
isn't narratively satisfying, I think.
No.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that kind of plays with, the Seventh Doctor is like this chess master
Mhm.
who's always
Mhm.
3 moves above everyone. Like to starting an episode where he's even ahead of himself in a way
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
interesting.
Definitely. I think that would be cool. So yeah. I see your cold open, Cass, and I raise you an entire episode.
Hell yeah. No, that rules.
There's this really kind of
Um,
almost sad moment in the opening minutes of episode 1 where Ace is like, the Doctor's like, I don't know where we are. And Ace is like, oh, well, that's good. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, well, if you don't know where we are, that means I'm not trapped in one of your weird mind games that you like to put me through. And I'm like, oh.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Little do you know that he's also trapped in one of his mind games.
Games, yeah. I'm glad you get shot, 7. Chess move your way out of that, bitch.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Doctor
that's
gets shot in this.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
forgot.
right. He gets shot in the shoulder.
I think that's
Hey.
what the Chinese gang says, that
Oh, yeah.
mow him down in the TV movie.
Uh-oh. Yeah. That's weird because Ace
Just
got
getting
shot.
your way out of this
Yeah,
one, bitch.
Bitch. What? Oh, man. That's weird because Ace got shot in the political,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
talk radio one. So yeah, they've both been shot 2 episodes in a row.
Huh.
That's interesting. Huh.
Maybe
Indeed.
this is the season where they just get shot. Once an episode, one of them gets shot.
That sounds great. Love that. Love that for them.
And they start to become aware of it, so they're starting to like dread it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things like listening to this story and like the David Tennant, not to like really harp on the David Tennant, but it's like the main thing about this episode is that David Tennant's in it. I think that it really says something about him as an actor that you're like, they really gave this character nothing. Like this character's whole thing is like Nazi stereotype of I'm just following orders guy.
Like creepy, assaulty vibes with
Right.
Ace throughout, that kind of lingering threat.
In like a way of like, putting you in your place,
Yeah.
just
yeah.
like half the characters in Inglourious Bastards. And yet like he is doing so much with so little that I like can't help but be impressed, I think. It's just, guy's a good actor, he's a
What
really good actor.
what I found myself thinking about is with the David Tennant of it all is with this coming out prior to the revival, much like the writers and directors and editors of this Big Finish era, David Tennant was under the assumption when he was cast that this was Doctor Who. Like
Mhm.
I can, knowing what a big Whovian he was throughout his childhood and adolescence, it's like, oh, there must have been really good, like, wow, this is the closest I'll ever get to being in Doctor Who. Like,
Bless.
like, yeah, it sucks that the show isn't around anymore, but at least I can look back at my career and say that I got to be like a Doctor Who baddie. And
Right.
it's like, wow, he had no idea what like a tenet of the franchise he would become.
Mhm.
It's true. Very true. Very true. Yeah. So it's cool to listen to, just to hear like that's young, hungry David Tennant, being excited about being in Doctor Who. That's really cool. All right. Well, I think that's it. Do we have anything else to say about Colditz?
I liked Sophie Aldred again, kind of being sort of like the Steve McQueen in Great Escape, this kind of like
Mhm.
scrappy, like prisoner of war that kind of like orchestrates a revolt, and she gets all other POWs on her side to where they're like chanting her name when she's put into solitaire. I like the bit at the end of like, well, if you got to do your weird mind games and I get to explode something at the very end, like
yeah. I like that she talks herself, or she talks her way out of getting shot. That was pretty. That was pretty good.
It didn't work last time, though.
Yeah,
that was so funny when she was like, "You're not gonna ow." So,
funny.
Scott, it sounds like you enjoyed this less than urban Chinese takeout casino vampires.
I think that one's, well, I don't know. That's like comparing apples and oranges, I think, to me.
That's fair.
I did not enjoy this. I didn't enjoy this as much as like the political one from last season. Okay. I thought that one was like, because that one used the medium in like a really interesting way, and with like the radio host and all of that. So I think I like that one a little bit more. But I'm fond of this one just because of the David Tennant of it all, and because of the introduction of Klein, who is a much more interesting character in her future appearances.
That's good.
Yeah. Indeed.
Interesting. It's so interesting that Klein comes back. Like, I don't know, because like, is she a Nazi, or was she like raised amongst Nazis and sort of had to act like a Nazi to survive?
Because there was that whole like Catwoman that she was abandoned there, and so is like, I guess these are who I work with now. Like, she just does whatever she needs to get by.
Because there's that bit with her in Seven where she's like, well, think about it. Like, there's both sides, like, you want the Nazis not to exist, but I want the Nazis to exist. Are we really that different? And Seven's like, yes.
Because of the alternate future that she comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, she's interesting. She's in a lot of stuff after this, and she's had stories with like lots of doctors.
Really?
7 and 8 for sure. But I feel like she's gone back with a few as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, just not positive.
Because Vampire Lady is only a Colin Baker reoccurring character, right? Because she also is reoccurring. Not Cassie, but I guess both of them, Cassie and older Project Twilight. Yeah,
no, so I don't think it was Vampire Lady does come back. I don't remember where she comes back, but it's the main baddie in that episode is the one that comes back.
Oh, the one with like the voice modulator.
Yeah.
Like
Nimrod,
power suit guy. Yeah.
Yes, Nimrod is the one that comes back. That I think you're right. I think she does come back as well, because she's like seemingly escapes at the end of that story that we talked about.
No body,
but. Yeah, but I think it's Nimrod is the one specifically that comes back and does some stuff. At one point, I guess Klein becomes the scientific advisor to UNIT.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, she's an interesting character. We'll get to more Klein at some point in the future, but for now, forget about Klein. Because next week, we've got Lucy Miller, baby.
Oh, shit. The much hyped Lucy Miller.
Yes. We get the introduction of Lucy Miller, the new format of the Eighth Doctor Adventures, in the 2-part story, Blood of the Daleks. And I'm very excited to get to this. I make absolutely no promises about Blood of the Daleks itself as a story, because I don't remember anything about the plot of it, like most Dalek stories after you watch them, except for that time that they tried to turn the planet Earth into a rocket ship. I'll never forget that.
Bless.
But beyond that, like, I very rarely remember what the plot of a Dalek story is.
Mhm.
But it is the beginning of my favorite Big Finish era. And so I'm very excited to begin sharing this with you guys because I think it's really fun. And Lucy Miller rules. So there we go. Excited for you guys to meet her next week. Blood of the Daleks. And worth noting, at least the entire first season of the Eighth Doctor Adventures, which is what they call this new era of the show, is available on Spotify. So,
sweet.
Yeah, so everybody will be able to follow along with these ones. We thought, because the last like couple seasons of stuff from the Eighth Doctor, Charlie Pollard stuff isn't on Spotify, that like we were done with Spotify and the Eighth Doctor, but they just cut it off at Zagreus and then came back to Lucy Miller because they feel the same way as I do about that other era. So
I like Charlie though. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the weird alternate universe and all of that.
Oh,
stuff.
all those.
Yeah,
for sure.
All of that stuff.
Because her last story I listened to on Spotify.
Oh, really?
Oh, wait, no, I didn't. No, you're right. No, you're right. I didn't. I did. Colditz is on Spotify, though.
Mm-hmm.
Colditz is on Spotify. Yeah, we're not out of the Spotify era with the 6th and 7th Doctor for sure. Cool. We got a long way to go before that happens, I think.
That's right, because the version I listened to had all that supplemental stuff, so it couldn't have been on Spotify.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, next week, Blood of the Daleks. Very exciting. And we'll talk to you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.